Up next, we got another one, guys. Paul Airy. Let's go ahead and get him in here, shall we? All right. We got another amazing session coming up here. Let's bring in Paul. There he is. Paul, what's going on, man?
Hey, good. It's a bit spooky
Good to
over
have
here.
you. Right? It's getting nice and scary. You got your spooky lighting on. Got the official background and fire going on back there.
Yeah,
Woo.
I'm kind of going a bit invisible. Can you see it? Like I'm kind of fading
Oh
out a
yeah.
little bit.
No, man. Hey guys, just letting you know, Paul really wanted to bring an Invisible Man costume, and I think that counts. So I think he's got it going on. He's got it working. Paul, so let's talk about your session really quick. WCAG, taking the scare out of the accessibility guidelines. We've been working on this email camp session, and it's been so much fun talking about this title. So I can't wait for the session, guys. Paul Airy, the accessibility and usability consultant over at Beyond the Envelope. Super excited for him to be here. Guys, before we get going here, remember questions tab. Please throw your questions in the questions tab so we can get those questions answered by Paul towards the end. I'll come back and we'll get those taken care of. And yeah, feel free to make sure to join the conversation at hashtag Pathwire Presents and also hashtag Email Camp. Make sure to join us at Pathwire HQ on Twitter. You can join the conversation. So Paul, I will go ahead and let you take it away. I'm going to go check on some of my other employees and everyone over here at Email Camp. Make sure everyone's still alive. All right. That sounds like a good idea. So better make sure they're nice and safe. But Paul, I will go ahead and let you take it away, my friend.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, welcome to WCAG, taking the scare out of the accessibility guidelines. My name is Paul Airy, and I've had my teeth into email for nearly 10 years now. I'm a challenger of convention, teacher of typography, advocate of accessibility, founder of Beyond the Envelope, and co-founder of Email for All with Action Rocket. And you've just seen Jay just a moment ago. So let me start by taking you through what I'll be talking about today. I'll be taking the scare out of the accessibility guidelines. I'll look at what makes WCAG scary and why you shouldn't actually be too scared of it. I'll take off its mask, look behind it, and help you understand what WCAG is and what it's made of. I'll look at the spirit and the skeleton of WCAG, how to conform to it, and the documents that will help you to do so. And finally, I'll look at some examples from WCAG and finish with some scareaways to prevent you from having any more WCAG nightmares. So let's start by taking the scare out of the accessibility guidelines. So let's face it, WCAG can be scary, and it's arguably what put the email industry off embracing and implementing accessibility for so long. But as with everything scary, once you take off its mask, you discover it's actually not so scary after all. So why is it scary? WCAG, the acronym. I don't like to go anywhere near an acronym until it's been explained. And even when this one has been explained, it can appear irrelevant. WCAG, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. What has a set of guidelines for web got to do with email? And this is probably the most difficult thing, it can appear overwhelming. There's so much complexity. Where do you start? Well, let's start by taking off its mask and find out what's behind it. So the acronym, WCAG, and that's the official pronunciation, by the way. Some say WCAG, some say WCAG, it's actually WCAG. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And while the guidelines are written for web content, they are relevant for email content because they have a lot in common. And though they do appear to be complex, there's simplicity and logic in their complexity. Like a complex Lego set, it becomes easy to work with when you break it down into its components. One of those components is its version, and there's more than one of them. I'll look at those now. The current version is WCAG 2.1, and it's referred to as a recommendation. In the UK, it's the version that all public sector websites are required to conform to. And WCAG builds on and is backwards compatible with the previous version, which was WCAG 2.0. And there's a page on the documentation that provides a handy comparison between the two. And the next version will be, yes, you guessed it, WCAG 2.2, and it's referred to as a working draft. It's due to become a recommendation later this year. And the W3C, the creators of WCAG, advise the use of WCAG 2.2, and I quote, to maximize the future applicability of accessibility efforts. But most use WCAG 2.1. Another component is its level, and there's more than one of them. There are three levels: level of conformance, A, AA, and AAA, increasing in accessibility. You rarely see AAA being conformed to, but you do see AA being conformed to, and that actually is a required level of conformance for public sector websites in the UK. And A has to be conformed to if you've claimed to have conformed to AA. And you'll see later that the W3C have defined a level for each guideline's success criterion, which I'll come to shortly. This is an excerpt from WCAG that explains the conformance levels, and you'll see documentation like this throughout that will really help you. But it's not all about versions and levels. It's about creating content in the spirit of WCAG. WCAG isn't designed to be used as a box-ticking exercise, though the success criteria within WCAG is designed to be testable. It's a foundation, not a fulfillment of accessibility. And in fact, there are instances I've come across where conforming to the guidelines doesn't necessarily make content accessible. It's written to cover the bases, to provide multiple ways to access content, to make it as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. But you may find there are ways to do this that sit outside the guidelines. To cover the bases, we needed to look at the structure and the skeleton of WCAG. And WCAG is broken down into four main principles: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Perceivable covers content that you can hear or see, such as text and images. Operable covers content that you can interact with, such as links and buttons. Understandable ensures content can be understood with language and reading age. And robust ensures content can be accessed using a variety of user agents and assistive technologies. And within those principles, there are 13 guidelines, and each with their own sub-guidelines, as I call them. Perceivable features 4 guidelines, operable features 5 guidelines, understandable features 3 guidelines, and robust features 1 guideline. Once you understand what the principles and guidelines within WCAG are, you need to understand how to conform to them. So how do you conform to the guidelines? Well, conformance is a WCAG term for meeting the success criterion. You have to think through this quite carefully. Success criterion are the conformance criteria for each guideline. Then we have techniques, and they're the ways in which a success criterion can be met. And while there may be many techniques documented, and there are, you don't have to use them all, just the ones that are appropriate for you to meet the success criterion for a given guideline. And there are situations, examples if you like, of the possible scenarios that help you determine the appropriate techniques to use to meet a success criterion. There are several documents that can be accessed in context that outline the relevant success criterion for each guideline, what techniques you could use to meet it, and the situations to help you choose the appropriate one. The most useful of these are the how to meet documents and the understanding documents, which you can see here referenced at the top and at the right of this slide. They can both be accessed directly from the guidelines success criterion in context using a link which I'll show you shortly. But before I do, I want to give you a sneak preview into the techniques, or rather the codes for the techniques that are presented in the how to meet documents. Each technique is given a code which denotes where it's to be used, and I've shown them here on the left of this slide. This helps guide you towards a technique that's the most appropriate for your situation. In email, G for general, H for HTML, and C for CSS are the ones that you'll use most. And you'll also use ARIA in certain situations. The codes are listed in the how to meet documentation, and I've shown an excerpt here on the right of this slide. And you'll see that most of the techniques for this success criterion are general. Now we've looked at what WCAG is and how to conform to it. Let's look at some examples, starting with language. So success criterion 3.1.1, language of page, deals with, guess what, language of a page, which for our purposes is an email. And it states that the language should be programmatically determined to meet its level of conformance, which is A. And selecting the how to meet link at the top right will present you with the how to meet documentation I mentioned earlier. And we'll look at that now. Here you'll see the techniques to help you meet this success criterion, which are presented when you select the Show Techniques and Failures link at the top left. You see I've selected it and it's now showing Hide the Techniques. You'll also see the codes I showed you earlier. And the relevant technique here is H57, using language attributes on the HTML element. And there you are. That's your way of meeting the guidelines. It's worth noting that there is a related success criterion for language of parts, which can be used if the language of the text changes at some point down the email. Now let's look at non-text. Success criterion 1.1.1, non-text content, deals with a variety of content and much more than I can fit on this slide. And this includes image content, and it's also a level A success criterion. Here you'll see a situation to help you use the appropriate technique. And it's situation A, if a short description can serve the same purpose and present the same information as a non-text content. There's a variety of techniques, and then again, much more than I can fit on this slide, including the one that's relevant for images, which is H37, use alt attributes on image elements. Meeting this success criterion requires some investigation because there's so much to look at really, and to identify the relevant content and the appropriate technique. Now let's look at color. Success criterion 1.4.3 contrast minimum, there is another one that's an advanced level, deals with color contrast. It's a level AA success criterion. Color contrast can be checked using tools such as a WebAIM contrast checker. And this success criterion also defines a contrast ratio for large text, which I'll come to shortly. You'll see there are some exceptions, most notably logos and brand names, where there's no contrast requirement. And this is an example of where you might want to go above and beyond WCAG and ensure your logo or branding color contrast is accessible. Here you'll see techniques to help you meet this success criterion, and it also has a situation A, and the text is less than 18 point if not bold, and less than 14 point if bold. Unlike the previous two examples, which were HTML, these are general. And the relevant technique here is G18, ensuring that a contrast ratio of at least 4.5 to 1 exists between text and images of text and background behind the text. This success criterion defines the contrast ratio for text and large text. And note it uses points, not pixels, to determine the difference. Large text being at least 18 point or 14 point bold. The reason for this is that pixel sizes can vary on screen, so a reliable fixed size has to be used for the guidelines. The pixel equivalents for large text are approximately 22 pixels or 17 pixels bold. And finally, let's look at flashes. Success criterion 2.3.1, 3 flashes or below threshold, deals with flashing imagery, and it's a level A success criterion. It's pertinent to people like me who are living with epilepsy, and in email, it has relevance in the creation of animated GIFs. Note that this success criterion has a note and states, since any content that does not meet this success criterion can interfere with a user's ability to use the whole page, or in our case, email, all content on the web page, or in our case, email, whether it is used to meet other success criteria or not, must meet this success criterion. In other words, if you don't meet this, all the ones you have met become null and void. Here you'll see all the techniques are general. Selecting the techniques will present you with in-depth information about them and how to apply them, which is useful as what's considered a general flash and red flash threshold is not immediately obvious. And you'll note there's also no situation for this success criterion. The success criterion defines what it considers a flash to be: an image of a certain area changing at a certain frequency, 3 times per second. Anything less than this is considered blinking and no more than a potential distraction. So I hope I've made WCAG less scary for you today. So let me summarize what I've talked about. So WCAG definitely is relevant to email. And the current version is WCAG 2.1. Next version will be WCAG 2.2. Of the 3 levels, level AA is the one that's conformed to most. But it's important to remember that WCAG is a foundation and not a fulfillment of accessibility. Within WCAG, there are 4 principles and 13 guidelines and sub-guidelines, as I call them. The success criterion are the conformance criteria for each guideline, and the techniques are there for meeting each success criterion. And finally, let me leave you with some scareaways. WCAG, it's not so scary, really, but you do have to determine which version and which level you're aiming to meet. My recommendation would be WCAG 2.1 AA. Use the understanding and how to meet documents to get to grips with how to meet the guidelines. Some are straightforward and some are not so much. Identify the appropriate technique to use. For email, it will be mostly general, HTML, CSS, and sometimes ARIA. Yes, you may have to do some work, some investigation, some interpretation, and some conversion. But above all, whatever you do, aim to go above and beyond the guidelines and use tools like WebAIM's Contrast Checker to help you. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Paul. Man, that was great. Heck yeah. Also, guys, yeah, take a look at his where you can follow Paul. We get that question a lot these days too. So you guys can follow Paul on Twitter at Paul_Airy and then at type_of_email. All right, guys. Cool. All right. Paul, we got some questions coming in, man. Let's get to these.
Great.
Also,
I'm looking forward to this.
I can't stop saying WCAG the whole time. Every time you would say it during your presentation, I would just say it to myself. Oh, I'm a madman.
It's
Oh
a
my
new
goodness. Yeah. We'll make it a thing now. And accessibility. We're taking it into 2022. That's what we came out of 2021 with. Oh man, cool. Okay, so these are some good questions actually we got coming in. All right. So someone asked, where can I test my email to check if it is accessible?
Okay. Yeah, there are. I mean, there is no one real place. It does take a little bit of homework to do. There are some websites. I mean, I'll follow up with some links to some resources. But yes, there are some of the WebAIM resources actually, where you can use a plugin to have a quick scan. If you've got an email that you can view in your browser, you can have a quick look at what's typically gone wrong. So color contrast will get called out. Heading hierarchy will get called out as well. So you can take a real quick look. And actually, I use the WebAIM tools to actually show clients and stakeholders and say, look, this is how good or not the acceptability is. So that's a really good one. The contrast checker that I mentioned in the talk was one of their tools, actually, one of the WebAIM tools. So that's definitely one place to look. But yeah, I mean, this is why the guidelines are so important, because you really need to understand them. And yeah, it's once you kind of get under the skin of it, as hopefully I've helped you do today, you can start to see kind of the wood for the trees a little bit and see actually this is how I can find out something real quick, and it's not so scary.
Nice. Cool. All right, moving on here. And someone asked, someone from, I think Luann asked this. Oh, Luann's the name of my cat. Luann asked, are the WCAG guidelines available in the format that you just showed in your slides? If so, where? Also, Luann, we will have a recording available towards the end of the day once the session closes today, so you will have accessibility to that, by the way.
Yeah, all those screenshots in the slides were directly from WCAG and the documentation. So yeah, so that they're all available there under those different categories. So under the different parts of the guidelines. So yeah, so it's all in there. You just have to kind of go in and find it, and hopefully the slides will help you to do that.
Perfect. All right, and then this one's actually from my other boy Jay, who's asking, what do you think of the new WCAG guidelines? Do you have any comments on where to follow, what's going on? That's a good one right there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that question. Yeah, the ones, the 2.2 that's coming out soon. So do say it's this year, but it's kind of getting a bit late in the year now. We'll see how that comes out. And yeah, actually, they show some differences in how they're going to change things. So one of the things they're going to change is the button area. So how much area you need to allow for touch and selecting a button. And they're pretty good actually to show you. This is a list of things that are changing, and so there's actually not that. There's not actually a lot that is changing, but they do refine it a little bit. The next big change is going to be the version that's actually in the process of being created now, which will be version 3, and that's going to be a totally different approach to accessibility guidelines. So yeah, watch out for that one. That's going to be a bit of a game changer. Nice. That's going to be a lot better as well. It's going to help people to create better and more accessible content.
There we go. Hey, there's nothing more. We need more of that in the world now, right? Okay, moving on here. This one comes from Rodrigo. This is a good one. What key points could you recommend to help sell adding accessibility to our work to my boss?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
Yeah.
Sell it to him there, Paul. Sell it to him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In a one-liner as well. If you can create content for more customers, you potentially got more money. Essentially, you are increasing your client, your customer base if you can reach more people. So that's the commercial side of it. Clearly, it's the right thing to do anyway. And there are also legal aspects as well. In all over the world, the different rules on kind of discrimination. So it could be classed as discrimination if you're not meeting needs for people. There's been cases in the US, been cases in the UK. So there could be a legal one. So that you've got three reasons really. You got legal, you've got commercial, and you've got moral. Kind of three things really.
Nice. Okay, cool. This one actually came in from social. Someone was asking, are you writing a book coming up soon? Looks like you've already got one published on Typography and Email.
Yeah. And please put a shout out if you if you're interested in that, and if you'd like to, if there's anything specific you'd like to know, because that can kind of go into it, and you may even get some kind of acknowledgement in the book.
There you go. Guys, so keep a lookout for it. And his other one was a type of email, a handbook for working with HTML, typography, and email. So check that out, guys. It's on his Beyond the Envelope website .co.uk is where you can find that. Cool. Let me see here. Daniel asked if we could show slides 3, 4, and 5 again. We would love to, Daniel, but we got to keep moving on here. But you can check out slides 3, 4, and 5 in the recording later on today. Guys, I swear you will have access to that. And do not worry, you can look at all the great code that was featured in Jay's and Paul's session, even upcoming with Megan's and Bossett's as well. So lots of good stuff coming down the line. Awesome, man. Let me see if we got anything else. I think we might have one more coming in from our socials here. I know someone was asking earlier, but how important is the backward compatibility with WCAG 2.0 or 2.0 in the future? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question as well. And the 2.2 is backwards compatible with 2.1, which is also backwards compatible with 2.0. So they all kind of nicely kind of go together. And if you follow in 2.1, then you kind of covered the bases with the previous ones. So you don't have to kind of comply to them all, as it were. That is going to change in 3. Because that won't be backwards compatible, so watch out for that. That's going to be a few years off yet, but that won't be the case for that one. But
it's gonna be like 3. Hold on, we're still on 2.0.
Yeah, that's right. So so that's why I recommend 2.1 at the moment. When 2.2 becomes a recommendation, and it's already on. You can actually you can go and look at it now, and it tells you that it's a working draft. When it comes to be a recommendation, you'll see that, and then that will become the kind of the go-to one when that's published.
Nice, awesome. Well, Paul, man, that looks like about all the questions we got today, and man, I wish we could stay all day, but we got to keep moving here, and unfortunately, you got to go about your day. I know, but Paul, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. Pathwire thanks you. I thank you. We all thank you. Amazing session. WCAG, guys, taking this care at accessibility guidelines. Say that all day. Say that all day and think about accessibility. Guys, Paul Airy from Beyond the Envelope. Paul, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Guys, let's get some reactions for Paul's presentation and Paul being here. Paul, we'll see you later, man.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye now.
Awesome, guys. Cool. Awesome. Guys, that was Paul. So glad to have him. And then we had Jay before that. Let's get some more reactions. We have a lot of good presentations going here today, guys. Yeah, heck yeah. Someone said WCAG sounds like Tupac. Yeah, I would love to see someone write a rap song about accessibility in email. Hey, there should be some more music groups based around email. That'd be pretty cool, right?